Part 2 of this program covered startup and shutdown, and the basics of maneuvering loaders. Now I'm going into a bit more detail. First, stockpiling. Using the loader to build a stockpile, or to move one from one spot to another. Second, loading. Working with dump trucks. So let's get going. First, stockpiling. Always keep your work area as smooth as possible. As I said in part 2 of the program, loaders don't have springs or shock absorbers, so bumps and holes cause problems. You have to move far more slowly on a rough surface, and frankly, bouncing around in the cab can be pretty tough on your back. Make sure you have enough room to move around in. It takes a fair amount of space to maneuver a loader. You don't want to have to worry about running into cars or parked equipment or piles of trash. Do whatever's necessary to make some room. When you're working with stockpiles, it's important to keep the bottom of the bucket level with the ground. Why is it important to keep the bucket level? Well, here, we'll exaggerate a bit. If the bucket is rolled forward, you'll dig a hole instead of picking up the material in the stockpile. Besides making your work area look like a battlefield, if you dig the hole close enough to the stockpile, you'll mix in dirt and rocks with the stockpile material, and that's no good. Now, if the bucket is rolled back, the loader will push right up the side of the stockpile. You won't get much material in the bucket. You will lose traction in the front wheels. And all the material under the bucket will get compacted from the pressure. If this were a pile of cold mix asphalt, you'd have a real problem with the material that you just compacted. If you keep the bucket level, you will be able to use less power. You'll get pure stockpile material in the bucket. You won't dig holes in the work area, and you won't compact the material at the bottom of the stockpile. The problem is, you can't see the bottom of the bucket from the cab. So how can you tell when the bucket's level? Well, for one, there's the bucket indicator out on the boom. When the indicator's in this position, the bucket should be level. And there's another feature, the automatic bucket leveler. It automatically keeps the bottom of the bucket level with the ground, no matter how you move the boom. On this loader, after you've dumped a bucket full by pushing the control lever to the right, push it all the way to the left and let it go. Then the bucket will stay level. But there's another problem. Neither the indicator nor the automatic leveler is completely accurate, especially as the blade on the bucket starts to wear out. So it's a matter of judgment and experience. Most operators lay the bucket on the ground and then feel for the right pressure. The indicator and the leveler help, but experience on the machine is your best bet. Now back to stockpiling. To get a full bucket most quickly and easily, come in at the bottom of the pile at the center. Go straight in, not at an angle, and do it slowly. Now lift the boom and curl the bucket backward while you're pushing into the pile. Then, keeping the bucket curled back so you don't lose the load, and keeping the boom down low, move to the spot where you're going to dump. Dump the material slowly, and do it from as low a height as possible. If you dump it from way up, you'll just scatter it all over the area. Then go back for more, and that's really all there is to it. Okay, that covers stockpiling. Now, loading, working with dump trucks. There are 3 basic rules when you're working with trucks. First, line up with the side of the truck. Go straight in, not at an angle. Second, make sure the truck driver is safe. And third, don't dump the bucket too fast. Pull straight into the side of the truck. If you come in at an angle, half of your bucket load will land on the ground. Before you dump, make sure the truck driver is standing well in front of the truck. A hard hat won't do him much good if he gets buried by a bucket full of heavy material. Lift the boom high enough to clear the side of the truck. Move in and roll the bucket forward to dump it. Take it easy, especially with the first bucketful. The first load will act as a cushion for the rest of the material you dump in. But it's easy to damage the box on the dump truck, so be careful. After you've dumped the bucket, curl it back or lift the boom. If the bucket's down inside the box when you back away, you're going to do a lot of damage. Of course, when you're moving between the stockpile and the truck, you should keep the bucket down low for safety. One final point about working with trucks: if you're loading a truck that's downhill from you, keep the clutch control knob in. That keeps the transmission in gear when you step on the brake. On some loaders, this clutch release is automatic. Otherwise, when the clutch control knob is out, the transmission automatically shifts to neutral when you step on the brake. So when you release the brake, there's a short delay. Then the transmission shifts back into gear. It's that short delay that causes problems. Here's a demonstration of what I mean. With the clutch control knob out, you start downhill. You stop, and with your foot on the brake, you shift to reverse. But when you take your foot off the brake, the loader rolls forward somewhat before the transmission engages in reverse. So if you're working downhill, keep the valve pushed in. That way, there's no delay when you want to back up. You won't roll forward. Loaders have many other uses besides loading trucks and stockpiling materials. But the basics explained in Part 2 and the procedures shown here in Part 3 can be applied to all operations. There are two last points that I think are really important. One, anything that has as much power as a loader can do a lot of damage if the operator isn't alert or isn't careful. Keep the machine under control and watch for dangerous situations. For example, here's a situation similar to the basic stockpiling procedure: loading out of a pit. Just follow proper stockpiling methods, but be sure to work the face of the pit carefully. Don't undercut it. You could bury the loader. Now, the last point. Loaders are built for rough work, but they are not built for rough handling. It's fairly easy to cause a complete breakdown if you don't take it easy. As I said earlier, a loader can get a lot of work done in a day's time, but it's really the operator who keeps it going smoothly.